Sunday, Taylor's family do laundry and tidy up the house so it's clean for the week ahead. They have many different cleaners in here, some of which are acids and others are bases. Oh look! Here's one that has a salt in it too. Did you know that a lot of research and development goes into making these cleaning products? Click each of the highlighted products to learn more. When done, click on the next button to get a closer look at acids, bases, and salts, and discover what gives them their properties. Can you smell that? Sometimes when it has rained a lot, the drains get smelly. A simple remedy Taylor's family uses to eliminate bad smells is to pour a cup of vinegar down the drain. Vinegar kills smelly microorganisms that can live in an acidic environment. Fingerprints and smudges on the window are so annoying. Fortunately, ammonia, a base, can clean these messes right off a window. Spray a little, then wipe. Look! You can see through the window now. This load of laundry is pretty big. Better use extra laundry detergent to make sure it gets clean. Many laundry detergents contain sodium carbonate, which is a type of salt. Welcome to the lesson, Acids, Bases, and Salts. In this lesson, you'll learn to compare the properties of acids, bases, and salts. You'll also learn how these compounds interact. The vocabulary terms for this lesson are acid, base, neutralization reaction, and salt. Click each term to find out more about it. Just look at this nutritious breakfast. You know it's good for you, but what do you know about its chemical properties? Some foods, such as eggs, are bases. Other foods, like orange juice and fruit, are acids. Did you know that our bodies contain acids and bases too? Our blood is a base. The saliva in our mouth and the juices in our stomach are acids that help us break down the food we eat. Have you ever wondered what makes an acid, or a base? Acids and bases change the concentration of hydronium ions or hydroxide ions in water. Click the images to learn more. Water molecules can break apart to form hydroxide ions. The free hydrogen ions that are left combine with other water molecules to form hydronium ions. A small amount of hydroxide and hydronium ions exists in pure water. Our stomachs contain hydrochloric acid, which helps digest food by breaking it into smaller parts. When hydrochloric acid is added to water, the acid breaks apart into hydrogen and chlorine ions. And the free hydrogen ions join with water molecules to form hydronium ions. An acid is any compound that increases the amount of hydronium ions when dissolved in water. Sodium hydroxide is a base used in manufacturing soap. It's also used in drain and industrial cleaners. When sodium hydroxide is added to water, it breaks apart, forming sodium ions and hydroxide ions. A base is any compound that increases the number of hydroxide ions when dissolved in water. Acids and bases may be strong or weak. Weak acids and bases produce fewer ions when dissolved in water than strong acids and bases do. Click the images to learn more about acid and base strength. When weak acids dissolve in water, only some of the molecules break apart and form hydronium ions. Most of the acid does not form ions. When a weak acid, such as acetic acid or vinegar, is added to water, most of the acid molecules stay intact. Only a few hydronium ions form in solution. Strong acids form more hydronium ions when they're dissolved in water. A strong acid, such as hydrochloric acid, completely breaks apart when it dissolves in water, forming many hydronium ions in solution. When weak bases are dissolved in water, only some of the molecules form hydroxide ions. Most weak bases don't actually contain hydroxide ions. Instead, they're proton acceptors. For example, when ammonia, a weak base, is added to water, some of the molecules accept a hydrogen ion, or proton, from water. When a water molecule gives up a proton, what's left is a hydroxide ion. A strong base forms many hydroxide ions when it's dissolved in water. Unlike weak bases, strong bases often contain hydroxide ions that break off when they're added to water. All of the sodium hydroxide, or Li, molecules break apart when dissolved in water. The strength of an acid or a base does not depend on its concentration. Strong acids or bases can be concentrated or dilute. The difference is the number of ions that form in solution. A strong acid or base will form more ions in solution, as hydrochloric acid does on the right, than the same number of molecules of a weak acid or base. In other words, the ratio of molecules that break apart in water to the number of molecules that don't describes the strength of the acid or base. Strong acids and bases form different numbers of ions in solution than weak acids and bases do. Drag each label to the solution it describes. Acids and bases can be identified by their chemical and physical properties. Click the images to learn more about the properties of acids and bases. Acids taste sour. Foods that taste sour, such as apples, oranges, lemons, and grapes, contain weak acids. But remember, tasting unknown substances, particularly in a lab situation, is never safe. Did you know that acids can conduct electricity? It's true. Car batteries contain a strong acid that helps to power the car. Acids conduct electricity because they produce ions in solution. Bases, on the other hand, taste bitter. Soap is a base, and it tastes bitter. But remember, soap should not be tasted and is not a food. Tasting unknown substances, particularly in a lab situation, is never safe. Bases feel slippery to the touch. Soap feels slippery because it contains a base. Many acids and bases can hurt the skin, so never touch an unknown substance, particularly in the science lab. Like acids, bases conduct electricity because they produce ions in solution. Alkaline batteries, the batteries used in household items and toys, contain bases. Acids and bases also have characteristic chemical properties. Click the images to learn more about the chemical characteristics of acids and bases. Check out this reaction. See how a gas forms when acid comes in contact with the metal? Most metals react when exposed to acids, producing hydrogen gas. Acids can be very dangerous and corrosive. They can damage body tissues and eat away at cloth. Care must be taken when working with acids. Drain cleaners, which break down the buildup of gunk in drains, are concentrated bases. Bases are corrosive and dangerous as well. They can be used as cleaners for floors and silver, but they can also cause damage to your skin and eyes. Certain compounds change color when they react with acids. They're called acid indicators. Litmus paper is a type of indicator that changes color when exposed to an acid or a base. Acid turns this blue litmus paper red. Some compounds change color when a base reacts with them. These are called base indicators. A base turns this red litmus paper blue. Can you identify the physical and chemical properties of acids and bases? Drag each image to the correct box based on the property it illustrates. You can roll over the images to find out what properties they represent. We see or use acids every day. Click the images to learn more about common acids and bases. Acetic acid is also known as vinegar. We use vinegar for preserving foods such as pickles. Vinegar is also used in salad dressings, in cooking, and in household cleaners. Sour milk, yogurt, and cheese contain lactic acid, which is a weak acid. Many fruits contain acids. Grapes, apples, oranges, and lemons are acidic. Car batteries contain sulfuric acid, which is a very strong acid that conducts electricity. Car batteries need to be disposed of properly because they contain hazardous materials. Many insects form weak acids as a method of defense. Certain ants release formic acid when they sting. Acids are used in the manufacturing of many items, including computer components. There are examples of common bases everywhere. Click the images to find out more about bases in your everyday life. Soap and detergents contain bases. They break down dirt and grease so that it can be removed from the items being cleaned. Ammonia is a weak base. It's used in fertilizers and household cleaners. Did you ever wonder why muffins rise when they are baked in the oven? This is because of baking soda, which is a weak base. When baking soda reacts with acidic ingredients in cake or muffin batter, it forms carbon dioxide, which helps baked goods rise. Alkaline batteries contain a basic chemical paste. The paste conducts electricity. Chlorine bleach is a base. Bleach is used to whiten clothes and disinfect surfaces. Jellyfish have basic venom that they use to defend themselves and to kill their prey. Which of these items contain acids? Click all the answers that apply. That's correct. Oranges and many other fruits contain acids. That's right. Yogurt and other dairy products contain lactic acid. Fruits, such as oranges, and dairy goods, such as yogurt, are examples of common acidic substances. Baking soda and soap contain bases. What happens when an acid and a base react with each other? They undergo a neutralization reaction. Click the parts of the sample reaction to learn more about neutralization. HCl is hydrochloric acid. The acid produces hydronium ions when added to water. NaOH is sodium hydroxide, a base. The base forms hydroxide ions when in solution. When hydrochloric acid and sodium hydroxide react, the hydronium ions and the hydroxide ions form water. Water is a product of the reaction. NaCl is sodium chloride. Sodium chloride is table salt. The positive sodium ion from the base joins with the negative chlorine ion from the acid to form a salt. When acids and bases react in a neutralization reaction, they form water and a type of salt. You saw that table salt, or sodium chloride, is formed from the neutralization reaction of hydrochloric acid and sodium hydroxide. Sodium chloride is just one example of a salt. Salts form when acids and bases undergo a neutralization reaction. There are many different types of salts. Click the images to learn more. Table salt, or sodium chloride, is made up of sodium and chlorine ions. We use sodium chloride to season food. Many people choose to eat table salt substitutes for health reasons because eating too much sodium has been shown to raise blood pressure. Table salt substitutes are still salts, but they don't contain sodium. Potassium chloride is a table salt substitute. Calcium chloride is a salt that is used to de-ice sidewalks in the winter by lowering the freezing point of water. Did you know that chalk is a salt? It's true. Calcium carbonate is chalk, a naturally occurring salt. The right kinds of salts can help plants grow. Many plant foods contain salts that provide minerals the plants need. What is the best definition of a salt? Click your answer. That's correct. Salts form from the neutralization reaction of an acid and a base. The positive ion from the base replaces the hydrogen ion in the acid to form a salt. Which of these images show acids, which show bases, and which show salts? Drag each image to the proper box.
Vinegar, fruit, egg, shampoo, chalk, and salt.
You're presented with an unknown substance. You learn that the substance changes red litmus paper blue, that it's slippery to the touch, and that it conducts electricity. Is the unknown substance an acid or a base? How do you know? Type your response in the space provided and click OK when you are done.
Well, it is a base. You see that's turning blue. It's slippery. So it's probably shampoo or something similar like that. So that answers that question.
You've learned a lot about acids and bases. Let's take a quick look at the main points you covered. Acids increase the number of hydronium ions in solution. Bases increase the number of hydroxide ions in solution. Acids and bases have characteristic chemical and physical properties. Acids taste sour, are corrosive, and can conduct electricity. Acids also turn blue litmus paper red and react with metals to form hydrogen gas. Bases are slippery, taste bitter, are corrosive, and can conduct electricity. Bases also turn red litmus paper blue. All the molecules of strong acids and bases break into ions when added to water. When weak acids and bases are added to water, only some of the molecules break into ions. A neutralization reaction occurs between an acid and a base. A neutralization reaction forms a salt and water. Now that you've finished this lesson, if you wish, you can go back and review any part of the lesson again.